motor running. Head out on the highway, looking for adventure, and whatever comes our way. Yeah, darling, go make it happen. Take the world in a love embrace. Fire all of your guns.
All right, boys and girls. Today we are doing launch technique with the Dudek Warp, and I'm going to be showing you guys the ins and outs of the right technique on it. But what's really exciting is that Francois has taken delivery of his Dudek Warp 22 today, and he's going to be doing his first flight on it. Now what's really cool about it is the fact that he's never flown the top tier advanced gliders from Dudek. He's got 300 hours experience on the Dudek Nucleon XX, and this is the requirement. As soon as you get to that point, you qualify for the Dudek Warp. So qualification is in. He is prepping. There he goes. All right, so pretty exciting, because the fact is that Tucker did that video where he shows that the Dudek Warp is like a crappy wing, can't take off, and blown 5 launches and whatever else. So Francois is the right example to show. He is going to show us what a guy that, you know, I think Francois is in total got 300 hours. So he's no professional, he's not a guy that flies every day. But fact is that if he gets this right on the first try by using the right launch technique, then it obviously showed that Tucker was full of crap. All right, so let's get into it. So you're going to remember, keep the risers forward. Shown you that technique yesterday, and I'll be on the radio.
Cool.
See, the wind is almost nothing. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, yeah! Taking his time, dragging it out. Perfect! All right, how does a glider fly?
Yeah, it fliegt baie lekker.
Give it to me in English, man.
Flying very nice. It's just the wind up there is not happy this morning.
All right. So we save it for a better day.
Yeah.
Congratulations. A high five. A high five. Copy. Okay, so in summary, I'm just going to explain the technique so that there's a short sound clip for that. The Dudek Warp in zero wind. What you want to do is you want to bump the glider so it gets to the 12 o'clock position as quickly as possible. That shark nose profile it has in the front, that'll scoop up the air, it'll climb up really quick. If you close the trims, and you have to be completely trims closed when you take off with this glider in zero wind. But the thing is, this thing is made to fly really slow around pylons for slalom racing. For that reason, that's why it wants to kind of get stuck at 11:30 o'clock position, and you're not going to be able to rescue it, to get it to 12 o'clock without holding the risers forward. You keep them wide for the launch and you bring them forward. That is what Tucker did wrong. He never held the risers forward. In his video he says, my hands were on the risers. Look, my hands are on the risers. Your hands were hanging from the risers. He wasn't holding it forward. If you hold it forward, the glider will pop up into 12 o'clock position and you can start throttling up, and by the time you get to 20%, it'll just kick you up into the air. Same way it did with Francois now with his takeoff. So that is the zero wind takeoff. Remember the bump. I'm going to do 2 takeoffs this morning. I'm going to showcase what happens if you do not bump the glider, meaning that fast round pull and it hits the glider and it shoots up to 12. If I don't do that in zero wind position, it's going to come up really slow. But the example I'm trying to give is that if you hold that riser forward, it'll come back from any position. It'll pop up into 12 o'clock. The whole thing about this glider is that it's supposed to launch with trims closed, and you're supposed to hold the risers forward, and you want to have the advantage of not running fast. You want to use that slow speed for your takeoff, and then it becomes super easy. It's no running your ass off. You've got a glider that can fly faster than anyone else. It is the fastest glider on the market if you engage the speed bar. And the specific reason why you would select the Dudek Warp. There are 3 gliders in the Dudek range where most of the speed is built into the trimmers. Why do you want the speed to be built into the trimmers and not the speed bar? It's because if you're flying cross country, you want to open up the trims all the way and you want to sit back and relax, and the full capability of the glider, the full reflex capability of the glider needs to be at your disposal at the top speed of the glider. The first one is the Dudek Universal. That's an EN-B class glider. It's for beginners, and that's why a lot of these pilots that start off with the Universal, they never upgrade because they're not looking for agility, and they're looking for something that is going to be fun and comfortable to fly cross country and easy to take off with. And it's going to give you a really big top speed, and there's very little coming out of that speed bar, so no point even to put it on unless you want footrest. The second glider that comes out with that is the Dudek Hadron XX. The Dudek Hadron XX had some drawbacks. Quickly going to go over it. The reason why the warp exists is because of the problems on the Hadron XX. Both competition gliders, but they're both grade XC gliders. The Hadron XX had a tendency to ground roll if you get to the top end of the weight range. But once you're cruising, it starts giving a little bit of an oscillate, and you've got to be on the tip steering the whole time to correct. That was some of the negative points on the Hadron XX. So the warp was invented, and the whole point of the warp is to fix those problems. You want that top speed, you want the speed built into the trimmers, and you want agility, but you want something that's a bit more stable when it's the top end of the weight range. It'll give you the same lift at low altitude as it will at high altitude. So if you're doing the Icarus and you're taking from a 3,500 feet airfield, it's going to be the same if you do it at a 6,000 feet altitude. You're going to get off the ground at the same amount of distance. That is something that's spectacular coming from the warp. Number 2, it comes up easier. That bump getting to 12 o'clock and holding the trimmers forward, that is easy enough to get it up to, it's faster than the Hadron to get it up to the 12 o'clock position. Number 3, if you hold the risers forward, it is way more forgiving than a Hadron XX. I've taken this glider off in crosswind and in downwind, and it's blown my mind completely how a glider is able to do that. It's fantastic the fact that it's not sensitive to that gusty conditions if you hold that trimmers, those risers forward. All right, and then lastly, the speed on the warp. All right, it is as fast as the Hadron XX at the top end, but when you engage the speed bar, you've got 8 knots built into the speed bar, and that is ridiculous. I don't fly with the speed bar engaged in cross-country flights because my fuel gauge just goes boo. It just feels running right through that engine. It's not efficient on speed bar. The speed bar is there to be ridiculously fast. I call it the warp drive. There's a good reason for it. You can gauge that thing, nobody's going to keep up with you. You're just blasting past everybody. Experience-wise, I've flown the last Icarus here in South Africa, the Icarus X. I've done that on the warp, and where other pilots when Tucker says it's all over the show compared to the free ride, it's nonsense. I've flown against free rides, Siroccos, all those gliders were in that competition. All of the gliders were loaded up to the top end of the max takeoff weights, and the thing is, that warp took. I had to take off right at the back. I was 5 kilometers behind the race leader, and within an hour I was past him. So I was able to fly a little bit faster than the Freerider top speed, but I never engaged the speed bar. I didn't have to. It is faster on trims open than any other glider on the market, hands down. All right, now I have to talk about the sizes. The thing is, sub 20 in sizes on the Warp, those are acrobatic gliders. Those are slalom racing gliders. XC pilots don't buy, or they won't necessarily want to buy something that is sub 20 because it's about the weight calculation. You got to look at what the manufacturer says. The manufacturer says you've got to be, if you're an experienced pilot, you'll be at the top end of the weight scale of that glider. And you're not supposed to overload the glider. Now, slalom races, they overload the gliders. They have a big engine on the back, lightweight frames and skeletons, and a big engine, and they make up for it, and they get off the ground, and they do their racing. They're not interested in climb or safety or any of those other things. They're just interested in speed. So if you want to do comparisons on cross country, you have to look at 20 and above. Maybe the 18, but I would say 20 and above. Anything below that is the agility and the speed is crazy. So the Warp is super agile below 20, and anything above 20, those are the classes that you're looking at when you want to do comparisons for cross country. So when Tucker says I had a Freeride 16 and a Warp 16 in comparison on thermic tough conditions, that's not a comparison. That is just you're trying to do a comparison for cross country flying on an aerobatic class glider. That's not how it's going to work. So why are you going to pick the Warp? That is the reason. It is the top tier, the most advanced glider for cross-country flying. If you're on the right size, it'll give you fuel efficiency, it'll give you speed. You want to get from A to B as quickly as possible. And now I'm talking about flight legs, 5-6 hour flight legs, not flying hours during the day that you're going to be doing, or in total the amount of hours you're going to be flying for the day. Flight legs are going to be about 5 hours. Then you want something that can get fast from A to B. Fuck off, man.